to combat the spread of foot and mouth disease, National Minister of Agriculture John Steenhuisen has introduced strict measures. These measures restrict the movement of cattle, sheep, goats and their products within designated disease management areas in the Eastern Cape province, requiring a state veterinary permit for any such movements. Western Cape MEC for Agriculture, Economic Development and Tourism, Ivan Meyer, says he supports these actions, and we speak with Dr. Ivan Meyer via Teams. Thank you so much for your time on the agenda this hour. So, can you detail the new measures proposed to curb the spread of foot and mouth disease?
Firstly, good morning and thank you for this opportunity. Yes, during the month of April, May, we have seen the outbreak of foot and mouth disease in the area of Humansdorp in the Eastern Cape. And so it has become very apparent that we need to put in measures in place to protect our livestock industry in the Western Cape. And so we have written to the National Minister requesting him to declare disease management areas. That has now happened, and we are very thankful for that, because that allows us to restrict the movement of cloven-hoofed animals into the Western Cape. This is very important, and the measures that we can take place are now at the roadblocks with our provincial traffic law enforcement agencies, as well as our state veterinary services, to inspect every vehicle that transport livestock into the Western Cape. And this is very important because the livestock industry is a 70 billion rand industry in South Africa, and this is very important. Since this publication now in the Government Gazette, it will now allow us in those restricted areas to put a ban on the movement of such animals.
And of course, Dr. Meyer, this is not a new phenomenon, and we've heard of strategies to curb it many a times before. So how are these strategies expected to be more effective than previous strategies?
Well, what we have now called on all livestock farmers to put in place strict biosecurity measures on the farm. The best way to curb the spread of foot and mouth disease or any animal disease is to ensure that you put in extra measures on farm in terms of any vehicles that enter the farm. It must be sprayed, sanitized, the vehicles, the tires, as well as the clothing, anybody coming in and out of the farm. There must be proper record keeping and proper spraying of such vehicles. That is the best way to prevent the spread of any animal disease is on farm. But should such animals being transported, it is important at the border places where we are stopping these vehicles, that the vehicles be sprayed, that there be spraying booths, because this is very important. The most important thing is to get the message across to all the farmers and sensitize them. Also to make sure that farmers have a declaration of origin and a declaration of destination of the papers. Very important, the paperwork. If you are transporting any animals to a abattoir, we need to know which abattoir so that our state vets can also intervene in those particular places. But I want to say on the record that the Western Cape is a foot and mouth disease free zone. There's no foot and mouth disease in the Western Cape, but there's a major risk, and that's why we are taking precautionary measures. And tomorrow and the rest of the week, we will have regular roadblocks with our state veterinary services and other law enforcement agencies to prevent the spread of foot and mouth disease into the Western Cape.
And Dr. Meyer, I'm assuming it's going to be really a combined effort. We need all hands on deck to ensure that all those measures are successfully implemented. So what role do farmers and local communities play in the successful implementation of these measures that you talk to us about now?
You are absolutely correct. For these measures to be successful, we need an integrated approach. That's why we need to work with the local authorities, with the farmers associations, the red meat producers organization. And during this coming week, starting tomorrow, I will be joined at the roadblocks by the Agri-Western Cape, the Commercial Farmers Association, the Small Scale Farmers Associations, as well as the red meat producing organization and the local law enforcement agencies in the Western Cape. We also have the Green Scorpions, the Western Cape MEC for local government. He's also providing some staff. I will be joined by the Western Cape MEC for mobility, Mr. Isaac Saleko. He will also be there. He's responsible for the law enforcement traffic agencies. So you're absolutely right. We will have a joint integrated approach. We need all hands on deck to protect the livestock industry in the Western Cape.
And just before we let you go, in addition to these measures, let's talk about the step that the ministry is taking to increase awareness and educate the public about foot and mouth disease and its prevention.
Well, it's firstly very important to recognize the symptoms of foot and mouth disease. And these include, for example, blisters on their nose, on their tongue, the lips, and the nose, and between the toes and around the hooves. But animals that are also having foot and mouth disease, they will have fever. They will also have a loss of appetite, loss of weight. You can see it in the animals, but also extreme drooling from the mouth. And animals will also suffer from depression, and there will be a definite drop in the milk production. So it is important that we regularly inform the industry role players, their responsibilities, the local communities, the local municipalities, the local law enforcement agencies. We have regular campaigns to assist the local communities to spot check these and bring it under the attention of state vets. And we're very thankful for many people in the Western Cape that are cooperating to prevent the spread of foot and mouth disease. But we cannot be complacent. This is a real risk, and I'm asking all the livestock farmers in the Western Cape to make sure on farm this is the best protection against foot and mouth disease, is to make sure that they comply with strict biosecurity measures.
Okay, that's Western Cape MEC for Agriculture, Economic Development and Tourism, Ivan Meyer. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Meyer, on the program.